Good evening and welcome for another Talking Technical show. I'm actually excited because we've got some wonderful requests this week, and I think after all the hammering that the market took for the last couple of, you can almost say weeks, there is a lot of interest in some nice shares. And I would like to kick off with Steinhoff. Now, a lot of these shares that people are asking about, they are so tired of the stock and they just say, oh, what is happening now? Steinhoff is one of those shares, and Leon asked about it. Leon said, listen, Frans, what is happening here? It looks like there is something on the go here, but I cannot understand what it is. Can you maybe just assist me and so that I can at least find out something about the share? Now, Leon, if we look at the share, and we looked at it before, it looks like it's trying to find a base here. And at least like all the other shares that we've seen last week tumbling down, at least Steinhoff had its fall before. And we will see some of the shares, interesting enough, a lot of the shares that we're going to cover looks like great shares in the beginning and then suddenly fell apart because there's some viewers that are so despondent that they just believe that they cannot trust the market anymore. Now, Leon, let's have a look at the share. First of all, I would like to show you that. Look at this 40-week moving average. I mean, this is now for a while, it's a support level. And that is waiting at R1.12. But the only thing that worries me about Steinhoff at the moment is that look at these lower highs. There was the high. It came back to test this, and I was quite excited about it. Then it rallied a bit, and then suddenly it fell off a cliff again. And it's testing almost this R1.12. It's now R1.41, but you and I will only get positive, and that's the clue here. I think let's just put that line in there. That's the important line. If I look at this line, there you are. That line sits at R1.81. Before that, unfortunately, I believe that the momentum is down. And keep one thing in mind. I've learned many years ago, when the tide of the market is flowing out. So in actual fact, let's say people are taking money off the table and they sell shares. It's sometimes very difficult to find a share in a market like that goes against the trend. And this is exactly with Steinhoff. Look what happens. It tries to lift its head, but it cannot get that right because the tide of the rest of the market is so negative that every time that Steinhoff just think of maybe going above R1.81, suddenly it just lose momentum. So I will stick to that. Only above R1.81, I'll be positive on the share, but I do not like this lower high that we're seeing here. Well, Kelly sent me an email and she said, Frans, you know what? I can remember many years ago, everybody just punted Brait and said, nothing can go wrong. Everything is just kosher with the company. It's a great company. And what happened? The share just fell off a cliff. Let's have a look here. I mean, Brait had a rights issue the other day, and this is an important lesson as well. Remember, a company can come out with a rights issue, and the rights issue of Brait was close to R8. But that right issue is not a guarantee that the technical chart will turn around. In actual fact, just the day before yesterday, I dropped somebody an email that asked me about a company, and I said, while there's corporate action going on in a company, be careful to believe the chart, because the chart is almost a distorted chart, because you'll never know what is going to go next and what is the company's directors are going to do next, because they actually one day will tell you that they're going to rise or keep the dividend, and then suddenly the next day they just disappear and say we cannot pay a dividend. So it is quite important to say to yourself, when you've got a share that comes out with a rights issue, and this one was at R8, it's now trading at 662, you must just say to yourself, let's first see after the rights issue if the share turns around. We had cases in the past where the share started to rally after that, and I can remember Lonman was one of them. But what do we see here? Brait, momentum down, Kelly, and let's just use this line. And it's the same thing. The tide is against the share. Look what we're seeing here. It's below this trend line, so the momentum is still clearly to the downside. Let's have a look here. I just want to zoom it out a little bit. And for me, there you are, only above R9.80, we will see the first glimmer of positivity coming back into the share. And look, where's the 40-week moving average? Look at this red line. This red line tells you, and this is a weekly chart, this red line tells you that only above R14.10 we can expect the share to start to show some good technical signs. At this point in time, unfortunately not. Well, I mean, I had so many requests about Sasol. Now, everybody said last week Sasol couldn't go lower than 180. I mean, that was our target of the head and shoulder that we showed many years ago. Well, Sasol went way below that. So it just shows you that if a company gets under pressure, let's just have a look here at Sasol's price. And I just want to take the 40-week moving average out. And everybody is now watching Sasol and just say, where can it turn around? Now, there's a few examples here. Can you remember a share like Impala went down all the way down to 20 Rand? A share like Anglo went down all the way to around 50 Rand. Kumba also, I think, 20 Rand. And then it turned around. At that point in time, when the share prices were looking like that, then everybody believed that the company will never turn around. Now with Sasol, it's exactly the same thing. The oil price is under immense pressure. In actual fact, there's a lot of countries in the world that cannot even produce oil at these current levels. But what do we say with Sasol? Sasol now, we know, sits on huge debt. And this is a waterfall formation. Look at it. There's the first drop, little bit of a bounce, second one, and then off the cliff all the way. I will say, if you are not keen on participating in the possible rights issue that's going to come up, I will wait at least for a little bit of a turnaround before I will climb in, because this chart just tells me there's no turnaround yet. And that worries me, because we believe now that the company can turn around. But if you look at the daily chart here, let's go to a daily chart. If you look at that chart, and this is a daily line chart, there's not even a glimmer of turnaround. So if you do buy now, say for instance you buy yourself 100 shares, first of all, say to yourself, I can lose everything because the share can go to zero. Second thing is, you must say, okay, I've paid for 100 shares. Maybe the rights issue is going to come out at 30 Rand. Am I prepared to buy some shares at 30 Rand? Now, if your answer is right, then you can say, I'm just catching a falling knife because a knife can cut your finger. But if you believe that you want to wait for the technicals, unfortunately, Sonia, you need to wait for Sasol to show us something of a turnaround. So, and I've seen it many years, that the guys that knows about the rights issue or the possible rights issue, they know where to price this company. So within a day or two, or within a week or two before, if there's a rights issue, we'll probably find technical signals here to say, yes, the share can turn around. It's starting to show a consolidation, or maybe a tiny V reversal. Yes, but at the moment, unfortunately, Sonia, if I look at this chart, it just tells me one thing. It's a knife that's busy falling. And sometimes it's very dangerous to do that. But I just would like to conclude here. Just have a look at this share price. I want to show you guys a monthly chart. You know, we talked about 180. And this just tells you that you must never, but never ignore a long-term chart. This is now a long-term chart. There's the ugly left shoulder. And remember, this is a monthly chart. There's the head. And there's the ugly right shoulder. Let's just have a look here. If you take the head to the neckline and you do exactly the same the downside, look exactly where we are. We are close to 52 Rand. So what it tells you, even on the monthly chart, it warned us a long time ago. That was our target of the 180. There's the 180. There's the right shoulder's depth. Let's use that. We take it, there's the 180. There it comes out to 180. But this is the full target. I think we're close to that. So Sonia, what is the lesson? The lesson is don't catch a falling knife. And for me personally, I'll wait for a little bit of stability unless you prepare to lose your money and participate in a possible rights issue. Let's have a look at PPC. Now, PPC is also one of those companies that Rashid asked me about. He said, Frans, is there a possibility that I can buy this for the long term? And I would like to have a look here at the chart. And I'm going to go back to a weekly chart. And the reason why I'm using weekly charts this week is because the whole market is so depressed. I'm looking for a share that can give me at least a turnaround. Look at it. From 9.50 from 2018 all the way to down to R1.19. Unfortunately, no turnaround. What it tells me is look at the momentum. The momentum is clearly to the downside. So Rashid, same story here. I will believe that we need to wait for a turnaround here. We need to wait for a consolidation before we get in. But what I can say is if we go through all these charts, and you'll see quite a few of them after the break, you will realize one thing, that the local shares, like the South African incorporated shares, are knocked down long time ago into bear market territory. And we know a bear market never lasts forever. It gets to a point where it offers value and then you do see some turnaround. So Rashid, at the moment, unless you want to catch a falling knife again, I would say rather wait for a little bit of a consolidation or a turnaround before you get into PPC, because this chart just tells me one thing, on the cliff. And only thing that can save it is if they don't export more cement out of China, and maybe people will start to look at PPC locally, but then we'll see it on the chart. Let's take a break and then we're back.